As Uganda continues in the global campaign to mark the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, which is a key international moment to call for an end to violence against women and girls, gender-based violence ranks as the most important issue related to women's rights. Factors that contribute to underreporting of gender-based violence include social stigma and shame, fear of reprisal, concerns about confidentiality and being believed, and in some cultural settings, a high tolerance for violence. According to Wembaba's Jacqueline Hope, Children's Coordinator at Namgongo Anglican Martyrs Church, digitalization has played a big role in promoting gender-based violence in the country. She believes that this is manifested through various ways, including nudity, sexual exploitation and others, hence calling for concerted efforts.
About 38% of women have faced technology-related gender-based violence, with 85% of that percentage having encountered it live on screens, on TV screens, on their phones, on computers, laptops, everywhere where digital effect comes in. Some of this manifests itself in forms of nudity.
There are many types of gender-based violence. We can talk about things like sexual violence, we can talk about things like emotional abuse, we can talk about things like economic abuse, just depriving women and girls, women especially, from pursuing employment or work. We can talk about violence, fighting and battering women. So this is an issue that needs to be addressed.
What could be the possible solutions to ending gender-based violence in Uganda? Can this vice surely come to an end? In our discussion with the UN Women Country Representative in Uganda, Dr. Paulina Chiwango, she revealed how the government has a big role to play through strengthening and enforcing laws such as Domestic Violence Act.
If you look at the government dimension, we can talk about strengthening enforcement of laws, we can talk about expanding survivor support services, and we can talk about emergency hotlines and mobile services. We need to ensure that a strict implementation of existing legislation such as Domestic Violence Act of 2010 and the Sexual Offence Act, those are fully implemented. So this also includes sensitizing law enforcement officers and the judiciary on handling GBV cases.
At community level, Dr. Chiwango advocated for the engagement of local, religious and cultural leaders into awareness campaign, in addition to empowering communities to report cases of gender-based violence.
We need to mobilize religious leaders, we need to mobilize cultural leaders, we need to mobilize community leaders to champion GBV prevention and also to advocate for survivor support. And for awareness campaigns, what we want to see, I think it will be critical, it will be useful to launch mass sensitization campaigns which challenge harmful norms and empower communities to report cases of violence.
She offered advice to survivors of gender-based violence.
Remember, it's not your fault. And we have to emphasize this again and again to our survivors. Remember, it's not your fault. GBV is never justified, and survivors deserve support, survivors deserve justice, survivors deserve dignity. We also need to tell survivors of gender-based violence, stay informed, learn about your rights and available resources.
Some of the civic organizations that are working hard to end gender-based violence shared knowledge with us. Serwa Marjorie, the Executive Director at Concern for the Girl Child, a non-governmental organization that empowers vulnerable girls through education, reproductive health and economic strengthening of families, explained the strategies her organization has employed.
Trying our best to see that we are going out there to talk about these vices. We're also sensitizing the communities. We work with partner schools. We talk to teachers. We talk to families and parents about parenting and supporting their children and giving them a supportive environment. We're also working especially in the communities directly, empowering the girls themselves to speak up and also to fight against gender-based violence.
The 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence is a campaign that aims at fueling the fight against gender-based violence annually. This commenced on 25th November, which is the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and will run through the International Human Rights Day on 10th December. Together we can end gender-based violence, and everyone has a role to play. John Baptista Humza, Church of Uganda, Family TV News at 8.